Welcome back to Charmed Rewind, everyone. The divide between the genders is over, Phelan.
Wow, Charmed solved it.
It was solved. They ended it. Everyone came together.
Yeah.
There's no sexism anymore.
We'll all put it behind us with the Cranberries.
The Cranberries helped to end sexism. It happened. So the poll this time was keeping it greasy. And every episode in the poll on Patreon for this week's Charmed Rewind was featuring Neighbor Dan, everyone's favorite greasy butt crack poo flap.
Mm-hmm. Also occasional victim of Zero.
Yeah. Or guy who is on a boat on Baywatch. The only requirement was he is in an episode, so basically almost every season 2 episode. And it was close with French Stewart Genie, but it was just edged out by, she's a man, baby! A man!
Glad an Austin Powers reference was the title. So
oh man,
good.
Nothing dates that more, doesn't it? A man, baby, a man. This was a season 2, episode 5, so it's pretty early into the show.
Yeah, and there's quite a tone shift from that season 8 episode we just talked about.
This was, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's not a good episode, but it's got that, like, early, charmed late 90s charm to it. Yeah, that charm to it. Delightfully stupid, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Also, there's a slight bit more effort behind it, even though this is a really ill-conceived mess.
Yeah, the plot's really stupid, but you could tell, like, they actually, like, gave a shit still at this point.
Mm-hmm. Still don't know if Holly Marie Combs gave a shit, or she ever did.
I feel like she gave more of a shit. I feel like there was more of a shit given.
There's some points where I feel like there's a little bit more urgency to the situation, and she's still at a 0, like...
She didn't start the episode like, who cares? This isn't about me.
No, but she still does not seem very bothered by a lot of things going on in this episode. Like, I think I'm connected to a succubus killing people. Nah, that's great.
Yeah, she did sort of brush over this a little bit. So the main plot of this one is that Phoebe is psychically connected to a succubus, and in order to lure her out, they cast a spell that ends up turning Prue into a man, baby, a man! Thought
the plot was Phoebe's really sweaty and we need 1 million screenshots of this on IMDb.
This is the craziest fucking thing in the world. You go to the IMDb page, and all of the pictures for this episode, there is over 400 of them. And someone with a Phoebe, Alyssa Milano sweaty fetish has taken all of these screen caps, almost every single one. There was less than 10 that is not sweaty Phoebe.
You can play the scene out, at least her parts of it, by just clicking forward.
400! 400 sweaty Alyssa Milano screen caps, all uploaded to this IMDb page. There is 11 pages worth.
Yeah.
Extraordinarily creepy.
Yeah.
Why the hell did you do that?
I didn't remember anything about this episode other than the fact that Prue becomes a man in it, which is ridiculous in itself.
That's what Prue should have been doing when she turned into a man, is like taking a bunch of pictures of Phoebe and putting them on IMDb.
We have no evidence she didn't. I don't know much about this person other than it's definitely a fetish, and I don't want to meet them ever.
I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
Much like Daryl, don't want to know.
Yeah, he even says his catchphrase in this episode, so that fits perfectly.
There was so many classics in this episode. They were ticking every box.
Yeah.
I had a good time with this one. It was terrible. All right, so let's jump right into it. The opening is at P3, and there's a heat wave going on, and Phoebe is the sweatiest of them all.
Yeah. You immediately know it. It's early because they remember they have their club.
They were still doing the club for a while.
They did, but there's large periods later
8,
where they seem to forget they own it, and they just, like, once in a while, like, oh yeah, we have that club, don't we?
Yeah, they definitely had a heavier focus there when they were trying to be Buffy really bad, and this was kind of their version of the Bronze. Definitely. But I guess to be fair to Charmed, I think this was kind of a trend around that time. There were a lot of shows that's like, okay, so let's have like a club that they can go to, and then we could have whatever the cool band is at the moment. But I think Buffy was kind of in the forefront of that kind of structure to do that. It's not
quite as seamless, though, as having a band play at the Stride Gum Factory like Smallville did.
Every show was striving to be as
striding,
as smooth, striding. They were making huge strides in television. Nothing could really quite reach that height.
No.
Yeah, so Phoebe is very, very sweaty. This is a plot important sweat. Piper is like, she's noticing that all of these men are like into it, and all of the creepy screen cap fetishists are hanging around like a bunch of ghouls, taking pictures. And she's like, if you keep acting like you're in the Red Shoe Diaries, I'm gonna have to get you a can of man repellent.
Yeah. I love that this is just like, woo, look, stinky Phoebe, oh, we're so attracted.
Yeah, she's got to smell pretty rank. She has just buckets of sweat through this episode.
Yeah.
With her tan too. She has her skin has the sheen of roast beef. It's very gross.
Yeah, she's not looking great except to that one guy.
Yeah, that fetishist was having the time of his life. I just don't understand. Okay, I can understand someone getting a screen cap of, like, Alyssa Milano and being like, this is hot, doing whatever private business or whatever, but I don't understand, like, here's one picture of her sitting with a jug of iced tea. Here's the same picture, but her eyes are slightly to the left. Why do you need both of these? Why do you need 400 of these?
I don't know why... Too, like, if they're going to take these screen caps, why they proceed to upload them to IMDb for some
Yeah! Well, you have the fetish on your own time. Why was this necessary?
Yeah, like the rest of us didn't need to know.
This is more... No one wanted this. No one wanted this but you, man. Phoebe thinks that something's wrong with her. Because it's kind of weird that she feels like she's in heat and she's really sweaty. Piper suggests going to the doctor, but Phoebe's like, this can't be it, because I'm horny as hell. She describes the sexy dreams that she's been having the last 4 nights. Everyone's with a different guy, but all of them end the same way, with her killing them.
Yeah, she bangs them, then they die. And then shortly after that, we're shown her having one of these dreams where she bangs someone and then they die. And it's kind of like, did we need her to explain what these were before we're just shown it?
Yeah, it's such a ho-hum way to ease into the plot of the episode that, like, yeah, these are about dreams where men are being killed and they turn out to be premonitions and all this. Like, she just, like, oh, by the way, I kill them. And like, oh, that's kind of weird. And Piper's reaction to this is hilarious. Like,
there's nothing to worry about. Who doesn't have a sex dream about killing a guy? I do that all the time.
Yeah, and as Phoebe's leaving, she's like, don't kill anyone.
See, Piper also has dreams where she kills the men while she's having sex, except it's she's torn whether she should kill Leo or kill neighbor Dan. So.
There's dreams about eating neighbor Dan as she's screwing him. Greasy.
They're not the only ones having man problems in this episode. Prue is also having man problems. She has been on a date with Alan. Good old Alan. You know Alan.
Nope.
What? Yeah, nope. The one episode date that she has, a generically handsome 90s man. She shows up at P3 with strange braids and says that her third date with this guy didn't go well. He's sending mixed signals. He ran off at the end of the date. She just doesn't know what she needs to do, if he's into her or not. The wires are crossed. Men and women just don't know how to communicate.
We've tried nothing and we're all out of ideas.
And Phoebe's like, this isn't about me. So she leaves and she has her sex dream. kills the guy. Yeah, they're kind of cutting around it. Like, it's weird how they shoot this dream. It's almost like we're watching, like, Plumbers Don't Wear Ties or one of those, like, Sega CD, like, date games.
Yeah.
He's looking at the camera like Mr. Perfect, like, oh, you're so great. I love you. This is amazing. And they keep showing just the mouth, I guess, because it's just Phoebe vicariously experiencing this because of the succubus, so it's not really Alyssa Milano.
Honestly, the shot of, like, the tongue coming out of the mouth of the succubus doesn't make sense because she's supposed to be seeing it from the succubus's viewpoint. So to show us that, it doesn't fit.
Yeah, but she's seeing things through this guy's POV too, like the tongue thing and all that, so it doesn't make sense that she wouldn't just be seeing it from the succubus. You're right.
Yeah, she shouldn't see that. She should just see from the succubus, otherwise she would see who the succubus is, and that would end part of who is the succubus a lot quicker. So they don't do that. She just sees the tongue. It's like, right.
Yeah, if they hadn't started the scene with the POV of looking at the guy, it probably would have come off a little better, because it does start out like it's just the POV of the succubus and then switches around.
Yeah, it shouldn't switch at any point. That's the problem. They could have just opened the episode up with this, though, and then, like, had it be, like, more of a mystery if Phoebe's doing this or not. Yeah,
I don't think there's any point in time where we believe that Phoebe is actually the murderer.
No, it's very, like, she thinks it for a little bit, but the episode doesn't really commit to that at all.
Well, because they don't act with any urgency about this. Like, she's like, oh no, what if I'm the murderer? And at one point in the episode... like, yeah, like, she's like, what if I'm the murderer? And then she's like, well, it's happened sometimes. We turn into evil things. Like, Piper turned into a werewolf.
When'd you go? Whatever.
Yeah.
Like, so you legitimately think you are murdering men, and it's just like,
whatever.
Like, that's why, like, if you thought that you were legitimately killing people, you would feel like they would get a little, you would think it would be a little more serious.
Yeah. I mean, Phoebe at least seems slightly disturbed by it in this episode, which is how you know it's an earlier episode.
Why does she think that it's her, though, when she's got, like, the tongue, the CGI tongue comes out, and it's got, like, teeth, like a graboid tongue or something, and, like, grabs onto the guys, and, like, clearly she doesn't have that, so why does she... Maybe she thinks she turned into that.
Yeah, maybe she's just turning into that briefly while she kills them, like it could be.
I guess.
But I think Piper says basically that, you don't have that, so it's not you, I don't care.
She just seems utterly inconvenienced by everything.
I'm really busy. I'm staring out the window at the greasy butt crack poo flat.
Yeah.
I'm busy with the Cranberries.
Don't go to the club and ruin my Cranberry concert.
The Cranberries are going to turn into some real dingleberries if you ruin
this. Definitely are with Neighbor Dan at the concert.
Neighbor Dan's a real zombie. And thus ends the only Cranberry song I know.
I'm glad you told me what that was.
What?
I'm glad you told me what the reference was.
Oh, you didn't even know what I was doing?
No.
But it made sense that I was just calling him a zombie, I guess. All right, so Prue's at work at the, I don't think it's a museum. It's like an art Bucklands, like where she like restores art, or she determines if there's fakes or something like that. Anyway, that's not really relevant to the plot. She works with Alan there. She's trying to look good for him, like she's looking at her compact and like, ooh, I gotta get another date with this Alan. And she's pretty desperate in this scene. She meets up with him, and he says that he had a great time. There wasn't anything wrong, and he'll definitely call her, which she thinks is the kiss of death. She says it's the kiss of death, and then what happens, Phelan?
Daryl strides in. Speak of kiss of death, Prue, I need to talk to you.
There was no reason for this segue, and she does not question it.
No.
And the delivery of the line was so bad, too.
Yeah. I got a real singer for you, Prue.
He was waiting in the wings like, oh, this is going to be so good. I'm going to wait for him to leave and I'm going to come in here.
Then they have like a walk and talk while Prue just rants about men to him, and he just kind of goes with the, yeah.
Oh, hear that, yeah. Men, am I right? Anyway, now that we're done with this men talk, there's been a string of murders.
Yeah. Let me finally deliver the punchline to my hilarious joke I started.
Why does he give the segue, and then they have that conversation, and then he explains what that actually meant?
Yeah, like this is minutes later. He actually says what I meant by kiss of death. Bunch of murders lately. Can you help the guy out?
But, like, it only makes sense if you're the audience and you know that a woman is doing it, or a succubus, because otherwise, like, he just knows that 4 men are dead.
Yeah.
Because of a serial killer. But he's like, speaking of kiss of death. Like...
Well, like, they are found, like, I don't know, apparently having sex while they died, right? I think they were kind of found like that.
They probably were, you're right. All right, point to Charmed. They're also, they're drained of their testosterone. That's kind of weird. And this is before Daryl knows that they're witches. So he's like, I know you guys have a secret, but I don't know. I don't want to know what it is.
Yeah.
I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
Help me out, but I don't want to know.
This could be the first, or one of the first instances of I don't want to know.
Maybe.
When he's I don't want to knowing. It's hilarious how much he says, I don't want to know.
Yeah.
I don't want to know.
But he's still, like, very much on Team Charmed at this point.
He doesn't seem to really believe it when he says it. You know, he's like, I don't want to know. But it's so lackluster. Like, he's like, if I find out, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He just knows that they can find out things. So weird things happen around them. So he's like, can you help me out and kind of investigate this on the down low? Because I got the brass on me about this one.
Yeah, it's like they're going to check on this one. So I don't want, you know, just the culprit or whatever to just vanish like they keep doing. Like, I need something to bring to them this time.
He's actually the worst cop that they have. He's like, I keep messing up all my cases. I need some help from 3 women that I know that might be into some shady shit.
What does Daryl ever tell them, though? It's like he comes back and like, yeah, well, that case is solved. They've been brought down, but there's no evidence. Yeah, the succubus is disintegrated by the end of this. He has nothing. This case went badly. Well, I don't know how this one went, because they did have her body at one point, and then they didn't, so I'm kind of wondering what happened with them after that. That's true. All they know is that the partner's dead. Yeah. and that her body disappeared, so I don't know. Yeah, I guess it wasn't on Daryl this time, though. I don't know. Can he really call this one a victory? I'm going to say that he probably got demoted for this one. Yeah. Victory question mark? It was like, well, he wasn't there, so I guess. Maybe that's why we don't see him with another partner again till like Sheridan. Yeah. They're like, we can't keep giving you partners if this is going to keep happening. You keep getting killed on you. Yeah, we wanted to get rid of this guy anyway, because he said something about like, oh, yeah, the sooner we finish this case, the sooner I can get you reassigned. Oh, he was being a dick to Daryl? No, Daryl said that to him. He didn't want him with him. Daryl. Daryl's a lone wolf. Yeah. He can't have another partner to replace Andy. No. Well, I mean, the Smith guy, he was a dick anyway. He was a dick. Yeah, and this is the only episode he ever showed up in, just one episode partner that he has. Real foreshadowing to the Pooper Smith. What, how is this? Well, how is this foreshadowing? Oh, because Smith. Yeah. Oh. All right. I'll take it. Yeah. All the men that died are part of this dating club, so he asked Prue to go look into that. Phoebe and Piper are at the house, and sweaty Phoebe has a pitcher of tea, which is a great majority of those screen caps is her cradling this pitcher of tea. Yeah. One is like super derpy too, which is great. Yeah, they're not. I'm like, were you masturbating to that one, or it's like one eye half open? Prue shows out to tell them about this case,
And Phoebe recognizes the pictures. So Daryl not only gets these people in, like, secretly in on this case, but gives them pictures, like crime scene photos and all this other shit about the case. Like, he should be fired.
And again, this is how you know it's early Charm, because they are invested and seem to care about trying to help people.
They're, like, moving things forward. They want to be part of the plot of Charmed. What a novel concept.
Yeah, amazing. It really helps Phoebe, those, like, Prue, because she always seems pretty proactive about things.
Yeah, Prue definitely seemed to care the most. Mm-hmm. Phoebe recognizes the pictures. These were the guys from her dreams. Piper thinks that they're just premonitions. Prue thinks that she's psychically linked to the demon, and Phoebe thinks that she's the killer. Of course, we know that she's psychically linked, so blee, blee, blee. They suggest that Phoebe goes to this dating service so she can get, like, a psychic flash, because that's a good idea to put her in there if they think maybe she's killing someone. She should get right in the middle of things.
Well, she kind of says that, but, I mean, Prue's point is like, well, if we do nothing, someone's probably gonna die tonight, so I guess we should go try to do something.
I suppose.
I think it's probably better they do something, because if they don't, it's more like later Charmed, where they're just like, but if we do something, then something bad might happen, so let's just sit around the house.
There's so much sitting around in later seasons, good God.
But Piper goes, I'm going to sit around the house.
Mm-hmm. She sure does. Phoebe goes with Prue, and they go to this dating service, and even the lady working there recognizes that Prue has man troubles. You look like someone who has some man troubles. Phoebe slinks off to go investigate. She runs into hot guy Owen and gets horny for him. She sees a vision of him being the next victim.
She goes, oh, well, that seems fine. Bye.
Yeah. Speaking of the next victim, Piper is watching out the window at neighbor Dan, thinking about how she wants to kill him. This is like Piper's thing through this episode. She just creepily stalks neighbor Dan through the window, watching him like wash his car and do other stuff outside. She's like fanning herself off while he's washing the car.
Phoebe and Prue come back and they're like, hey, were you checking the Book of Shadows for that thing we asked about? And she's like, huh? What? I've just been staring out the window. I didn't do anything.
How did she do that the entire time? What is wrong with her? Good God. Can I just say, like, neighbor Dan comes off like he's a character from a porn. Like, everything that he does is like...
Yeah, he's so stupid. Yeah, because he shows up later. He's like, hey, I didn't want to bug you guys, but my freezer broke and I need some ice.
Starts undoing his pants. Yeah. Maybe you can help me cool off, ladies.
Then the next thing you know, Piper's got him tied up with a swinging blade above his head, Zero style.
Don't worry, Dan. This gets me in the mood.
This is so hot.
Well, if my stupid sister's off searching for another succubus, I'll be the real succubus.
Oh, Dan's gone missing. Who killed him?
That's what happened.
Yeah.
You must be kidding, aren't you?
I'll do a quick rundown of Neighbor Dan for people listening who perhaps didn't see the videos and don't know who Neighbor Dan is.
Who's this piece of crap they're talking about?
Who is this piece of shit?
I hate him just by the description and name.
Neighbor Dan. So in season 2, they decided they should put a wrench in Piper and Leo's romance, create a love triangle. So they introduced Neighbor Dan and his niece Jenny. Jenny shows up for 4 episodes and they wrote her out, literally because she had no purpose. They could not figure out a reason for her character to be.
But they thought she was important enough to get like a prominent place in the opening credits.
She was in the opening credits.
Yeah, she's like, this character's important. Nah.
She never does anything. And yet Neighbor Dan does minimally more than she does, like marginally a little bit more than Jenny did.
Yeah.
But all he is just, he's just the dumb neighbor. Like, no one believed anything was going to happen. Like, a couple of times they acted like he was a thing. There was like an episode where they look at their past life and he's there with them. It's hilarious to think they were like, oh yeah, he's in all their past lives. They always cross paths. Neighbor Dan.
This is probably like one of the most involved plot-wise he was that one maybe? Like,
yeah, I think the French Steward Genie one, when they wrote him out, he also had a little bit more to do.
Did he find out about their powers in that one?
I think he did, right. And that's why he left. Yeah, that's why
he goes missing and presumed dead.
Yes, he knew too much. People hated him in the fandom because he got between their ship to the point that a hilarious forum post called him a greasy butt crack poo flap, which is the best insult I've ever heard. And his hair, very greasy, very 90s greasy.
And we're already at the point in this episode where Jenny does not appear, but they name drop her for some reason. Like,
is she gone? I feel like they spread out her episodes a little bit.
Maybe, but she's not in this one. They go, tell Jenny hi.
Neither is Leo. It does come off very weird because season 2's that weird territory because it's most of Charmed Piper's with Leo, so it's just kind of like, oh, and here's this Neighbor Dan season?
Mm-hmm. It's kind of different when you see her without Leo, without her punching
She's
bag.
Not just a nagging wife and mother, like they have to come up with other things.
Yeah.
She became just like solely defined by that. It was so irritating that they just focused so much on just the one thing, that she was just so nagging and just all about like kids, Leo.
Mm-hmm. Well, mostly complaining about him too.
Yeah, it wasn't a loving relationship. It was just like,
Leo, come take care of the kids. Yeah.
It's like she just found some reason to be angry about anything that was happening in her life, really.
Yeah. Yeah, she didn't have anything to be angry about in this episode, so that's why it was toned down a little bit.
Yeah.
But anyway, Neighbor Dan was the most useless character ever added to the show, aside from Jenny.
Mm-hmm. Much later on, we see like a police file with missing people, and his name is on it, so he is
Dan
missing,
Gordon.
Presumed dead.
Yeah, definitely dead. Okay, so back to the episode. They look through the Book of Shadows since Piper did nothing. I can't imagine what she did that entire time. They weren't gone for 5 minutes.
Yeah, I think she did say she looked at it or something a little, but clearly was spending her time in more useful ways.
Being a creep. They find a section of the book on succubuses, witches, evil witches. I don't know why they call her a witch. It doesn't really matter, but I guess everything had to be a witch or a warlock in some way on this show. They say they're evil witches that kill dudes in sexy ways. They have sex and they kill them.
Did they do more evil witches earlier on?
They, I think warlocks were like a catch-all.
Yeah, it's mostly I think they just called warlocks, but I don't remember evil witches as often.
Yeah, well, I think like even if they were women, they called them warlocks for some reason. Like regardless of gender, I think they have a line about that in the pilot.
If they're bad, they're a warlock.
I guess, yeah. I think that doesn't. I think they're pretty inconsistent with that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit fluid, I guess. Witch or warlock, they're not about genders and putting them in boxes. That's what this episode's all about.
Later is almost like exclusively if they're bad, they're some kind of demon.
Yeah, I think they started switching to that because when they're killing witches and warlocks, they're just sort of killing people.
Yeah, they are.
They're just blowing up human beings. So.
The demons are too, though, right? Because they transform from a human.
Yeah, I guess like they treat them like they're different species or something. I don't know. Then it's fine.
Yeah. I think
they're
it's
not human. They don't say they're human because Cole's half human, half demon, so they're definitely a separate thing.
But there's that one we did with the Ron Perlman and the wrestlers, and that guy was turning into a demon.
Yeah, well, he's turning him into a demon, but he wasn't.
But he was a human first.
Well, yeah.
So,
but they're not anymore, so it's fine.
Yeah.
you can kill them if they're not they're not humans anymore.
It doesn't matter at that point.
It's fine.
The police will come back. Well, he's not human anymore.
Because you can't say witches aren't human, because they're witches, unless you're saying they're not human. Mm-hmm. They're kind of hags, but...
I think it's a little interesting, though, to have just an evil witch, I guess.
They did do it. I can't think of a specific example.
It doesn't seem like they did it as much later, I guess. You could have done more with that, I think.
Yeah, they did. I think earlier on when they did explore more of the witch stuff, so they did do more of that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so on with the episode. Prue suggests casting a spell to attract the succubus. So if Phoebe's the killer, she'll be attracted to her and they'll know. So they're, I guess, like, maybe her sister will be attracted to her, and this'll help us solve this mystery. They go upstairs into the attic, they cast a spell, and puff of smoke, Prue's a man!
Yeah. And Phoebe's surprised briefly that she's not on fire.
Oh yeah, she thought she would burst into flame?
Yeah.
Cool. But that's not even how it worked when they met the real succubus. I don't know why they thought that would happen.
No, I don't know. I'm glad Phoebe thought, though, like, maybe this is going to happen, and she had no real urgency about that. It's like, maybe I'm about to die right now. We'll see.
Phoebe was definitely a lot dumber in the beginning. That's why she had to cast a smart spell on herself. She wasn't that smart later either, but I feel like she was significantly dumber.
Maybe she's dumber, but she's also far less annoying.
She is less annoying, but she is dumb.
She's not as smug, I guess, is what she turned into later.
She wasn't making it all about her all the time. I think that's the big factor there. It felt more like an ensemble, like everyone was kind of doing their part. Yeah. Piper was a little focused on neighbor Dan, but, you know.
Piper didn't do a lot.
They were at least, like, they were all working towards something, and it wasn't just Phoebe, like, I gotta focus on me now. Mm-hmm. Even I guess she would die if she didn't. Mm-hmm. But let's talk about Prue being a man. Let's not dance around it. Prue's a man. They turned Shannen Doherty into a man. They didn't cast a man to do this. They put Shannen Doherty in padding,
oversized clothing, with bad padding. It kind of looks like the Michelin Man sometimes.
Oh my god!
She has a small head compared to everything else because of all the padding in her clothing. You're just like, what?
It's extremely difficult to do makeup and wardrobe to change someone's gender, but especially for women to men, because it's not just about, like, because with men you can do the shading and the contouring to try and, like, imitate the different shapes and, like, add the padding to create the curves and all that. But when you're trying to turn a woman into a man, like, you would need to do, like, a bigger neck and do a bit, like, there's, like, just a structure there that is really hard to fake. Mm-hmm. So that's why, like, when they give her the big padding and the broad shoulders, her head just looks really small because it's still a very thin neck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, and if you pad someone's clothes out, of course, that's going to make all the rest of their body look way bigger than their head.
Yeah, like, because I guess, like, if there are smaller guys too that would have, like, thinner necks, but you would have to have the body in proportion to it, and to do that, they would have to, like, strap her boobs down, and you just couldn't, like, have your actress with her boobs just flattened that much for that long a period of time.
Yeah.
So they had to add bulk to try and hide that, but it looks weird. I don't understand why they gave her Frankenstein shoes either, to, like, these big chunky platform boots, I think, to make her taller, but it didn't make enough of a difference to justify the weird Franken boots.
They give her a goatee too to try and help sell it a little more.
I don't know why they went so heavy with the eyeliner, though.
Yeah, that's weird.
It's like a more feminine makeup that they did over the goatee and stuff, so that didn't help.
Yeah, that's strange.
And you could tell they did do some like contouring with the makeup to try and like square the jaw and stuff like that. But then they did the eyeliner. So I'm like, what? Mm-hmm. You're not helping the situation.
Yeah.
They pitched down her voice
that's
to make it a man voice.
Thing too. It's just like, and to everyone else, this sounds like a guy apparently, but like it doesn't to the audience. This sounds like someone with a weird pitch shifted voice.
She's not a convincing man. And that, like...
Well, I mean, that wasn't on her, because that's just the post-production thing.
Oh, yeah. That's not on Shannen Doherty. She's doing what she's supposed to do, but, like, none of it's convincing.
Yeah.
Like, I think probably it would have worked out a little less embarrassing if it was just a guy playing the role.
Mm-hmm.
And, like... I bet there's some drag kings out there that are really embarrassed by this whole getup. You can do better than this.
Well, what do you know? It's not every day you see the stupidest thing you've ever seen.
So Prue holds herself up in a bathroom because she's super embarrassed. And Phoebe's like, hey, you think that she's touching herself?
Yeah.
She thinks she just went in there to whack off.
Yeah. I love that was Prue's first instinct. Oh, I got a dick. I gotta go whack it.
I feel like that would just feel fucking like... It would be weird if you turned into the other gender and you're like, I gotta go masturbate now.
Yeah,
like, would that get you off? Like,
immediately
I gotta go stroke my dick, or
yeah.
I'm a woman. I have to use a vibrator now.
Yeah.
Like, what? I just don't. Why would you think she'd immediately be doing that?
Mm-hmm.
So Phoebe and Piper think that Prue should sign up for this dating service as bait. And Prue comes out of the bathroom, and she's wearing clothes from the ex-boyfriend's pile.
You just have a pile of old guys' clothes? Like, why?
I think some people do have, like, they keep clothes around from, like, exes. And, like, I had a friend once who, like, had that, and then, like, they were like, well, they're not coming back. Do you want some of these clothes? And I'm like, do I want some of your ex-girlfriend's clothes? No. That would be creepy. Like, no, thank you. Get rid of them.
Yeah.
I don't understand that. Like, what are you hanging on to them for?
No.
Just. But I guess people do that.
Them, I think I'd just get rid of them. But.
Yeah. She talks about having a penis. And then the Giggle twins make fun of her. Like, Piper and Phoebe are just laughing at the situation. And they decide they got to give her some man tips that they learned from Cosmo. They're like, it's all about the walk and the talk, and men like sports and men like cars. This is all the stuff that you need to do. And she's trying to, like, kind of pose like a man, and they're like, oh, your perfect man's Richard Simmons, huh? Real timely Richard Simmons joke. And Phoebe tells her to think of Tom Hanks. That would be the perfect man for her. Phelan, what'd you think of all this talk about men in this episode?
Spot on. Nailed it.
You think they really understood what men are all about?
Yeah. Like, once you're a man, you immediately say things like, I gotta go take a leak. And like, oh, I punched him because I just felt like a man when I punched him. Instinctual man punching someone.
This episode is so sexist, it's beyond belief. And they act like this is just, like, written into men's genes, all of this stuff. Like, every man is into sports and trucks and punching. They just can't... Isn't that what you're into, right, Phelan? Sports and punching and trucks.
Yeah, being a douchebag neighbor Dan.
Yeah.
Do I detect a note of sarcasm?
Are you kidding me? This baby is off the charts.
Oh, a sarcasm detector. Well, that's a really useful invention.
No one could be as cool and sensitive as Neighbor Dan. Yeah, that's when Neighbor Dan shows up in his own little porn because his freezer broke down and he needs some ice. Piper introduces Prue to him as Manny.
Yeah, Manny.
This is
Hanks.
Did she say Manny Hanks?
Yeah.
Shut up. You dumb show. Manny Hanks. Phoebe's in the kitchen. She feels more of a psychic connection to the succubus and sees a vision of some egg sacs. So the succubus is ready to hatch a bunch of other succubuses. This serves no story purpose and they never come back to it.
No.
In fact, those eggs are still out there. They probably did nothing. They probably hatched and then, like...
Yeah, they did nothing with that whole plot. It was weird because I was waiting for that to come into the plot and they don't bring it up again.
Yeah, even like an end stinger, you know, pan over to the eggs and then they start to crack and then da-da-da, nothing.
Yeah.
And Phoebe knew about this and they did nothing. Neighbor Dan's asking Prue about Piper, like he's snooping around like, hey, is she single? What's going on there? Mm-hmm. And Prue is like trying to covertly imitate his body language. Like she's like leaning against the wall with her arms folded, putting her leg up.
Yeah.
Trying to emulate the epitome of manliness, the greasy butt crack poo flap, Neighbor Dan.
Yeah. That's not the way to make people convinced you're a man. Don't imitate him.
Oh no, she's slowly disappearing into the background. You can't be this much like Neighbor Dan.
Neighbor Dan's doing some weird poses too that she's imitating, like he's put one foot up along the wall and stuff.
Who goes to someone else's house and sticks their foot on the wall?
Yeah. Like, what the hell's the matter with you?
Why the hell did you do that?
It's a weird pose too. Like, I don't know if it's not something I'd say, oh, that's manly. He's sticking one foot up on the wall. Kind of strange. It's like he's acting like he's trying to be sexy or something in front of Manny.
Yeah, you know, there were some sparks there. Yeah. Maybe Neighbor Dan was truly meant to be with Manny all along.
Yeah. And that's the real rub of it, is Manny didn't exist, so screw you, Neighbor Dan. There's no one in this world for you except that imaginary male version of Prue. Now you're gonna go missing.
It kind of seemed like Manny was making the moves on him. Like, oh, don't you think that men that run out on the first date are the worst?
Yeah.
I guess if I can give this episode any credit, they never really have any of those, like, not gay moments, like a man's attracted to Prue as a man and doesn't know why, or even the stuff with the succubus and Prue, like, they never act like, oh, two girls, no, or they don't even go like, oh, that's hot, you know, they don't have any, like, of that, any of those of jokes in there.
Yeah, they did one thing when Prue's in the club later and she looks at some woman's ass or something, and then Phoebe and Piper are like, did Prue just check out that woman's ass? Like, oh, this is getting too weird.
I guess there's that. There's the lightest of touching on that, but
that was it.
Yeah, this episode has many problems, but I feel like that was at least easy fruit that they didn't really go for.
Mm-hmm.
Prue's recording a dating video, talking about how, you know, the perfect relationship is about respect and all this, just, you know, so in touch with her feminine side. And even the woman recording the video is like, oh, you're so in touch with your feminine side.
Yeah, she like slow claps at the end of this dating. This is gonna be the hottest dating video ever.
Yeah, she's like, you could be dating as soon as tomorrow. Yeah. This video breaks records at their company. 20 different women want dates with... You know what this sounds like? It just sounds like this is a pickup artist saying what you want to hear or something. It sounds fake as hell. Mm-hmm. It doesn't sound like, ooh.
But then they confirm this later, and Prue's like, later, like, oh yeah, my dating video like did the best ever. I got like 8 dates.
Yeah, that's what they say.
Yeah. It's just like, well, okay. So this is the best dating video ever.
Yes. That's what the episode treats it like. Like, it's like, no men are ever in touch with their feminine side. He said that he wants respect. Ooh. Mm-hmm. It's like, this is so insulting.
Yeah, it's kind of silly the way they do that.
I do love the inclusion of the video dating. That's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like by 1999, that was petering out a little bit, though. Maybe it was still around.
I don't know.
I mean, I guess the internet was just becoming more of a, like, thing with everyone, and that, I think, phased that out.
I think they mentioned, like, putting it on their site or something, so it's like that weird dates where they have video dating and they're doing it online as well.
Okay, yeah. Weird period of time. Phoebe and Piper show up looking for the tape of the guy, Owen, that's gonna get killed. And Piper freezes the place so that they can go grab it. And when Phoebe's looking, she finds that neighbor Dan has a tape there, and she's like, "Ooh, you interested?" So they steal the neighbor Dan tape. Mm-hmm. Piper is watching this tape, and off screen, they have to make sure that the lady filming it mentions, like, "Oh, your sister paid for this, so you should say something." Like he's been forced into it. He doesn't really need to go looking for dates, but, you know, here's what he really is looking for in a lady. Mm-hmm. They don't want it to seem like he's a player, but they want Piper to be able to hear this stuff.
Yeah.
He talks about his perfect lady. He's old-fashioned. He wants the girl next door, a girl with long dark hair and a great smile that'll one day will notice that he's watching her. And is not describing Piper in the slightest. If he was describing Piper, it would be like, "I'm looking for a shrew that will rope me into a loveless marriage." Will force me to have kids with her and make my life miserable.
That's me.
I want a lady with acid breast milk.
That's when Piper opens her mouth and, like, the serpent tongue shoots out and sucks the TV.
He's describing me to a T.
Prepare to go on the missing peoples report, Dan.
I want a lady who looks at me with contempt every day. Who I'll wake up regretting getting with. Preferably someone who hates men. Mm-hmm. So Daryl and his one episode partner Smith, that's the name of him, of that guy, they're taking pictures outside. And this guy's kind of a dick. He wants to go inside out of the heat. And he insists on doing it. Daryl's like, "No, you gotta take these pictures." He's like, "Screw you, whatever," and, like, runs inside. Because he wants to check out the ladies, too. I think he's being kind of a horn dog as well. Mm-hmm. Phoebe's in there with Owen. She senses that the Succubus is nearby. And when when Smith comes in, he immediately grabs Phoebe, like, "I want to ask you some questions." Like, why
I don't
was he
know.
doing this?
I have no idea why he thinks he has any right at this moment to do this, because they haven't done anything besides be at this, mixer things.
Yeah, does he even know that Daryl knows them? Does he even know they, like, have weird things go on? Does he even know something's happening?
They're staking them out earlier, so I think it is part of, like, we think there's some weird things going on with them. And that's part.
Oh, they're staking out the Charmed One specifically.
Yeah, and I think that's why Smith was assigned to Daryl's, because there's been too many weird question marks on some of these cases where they've been involved.
And this case only proves them right, because he dies by the end.
Yeah, exactly. But, I mean, at this point, they don't have anything, so for him to walk in and be like, "Hey, I got a few questions for you," it's like, well, what?
"You're sweating without a permit, come here."
"You're at this mixer."
Yeah, he grabs her, and then she freezes because she's having, like, a vision or something, but it looks like she's just traumatized, and he's, like, grabbing her by the arm. Like, it's a weird moment. Mm-hmm. And Phoebe, sees Prue and asks her to take Owen out of there with her powers, I guess. But with all that testosterone, I guess she thought that she meant just punch him. So she goes and does.
Punches him. Then Smith's like, "You're under arrest!" And then she punches him, and he does, like, a twirl in the air as he crashes into a table.
Apparently this gave her super strength.
Yeah. Just punch everyone! That's the answer!
That's the problem with you men, Phelan. You just punch first, ask questions later. Just the instinct to punch is too strong.
Yeah.
Daryl arrests Manny, and Phoebe senses that the succubus is attracted to Prue now. All that punching was just so hot, you know?
And I guess Prue's punch took the questions out of Smith that he had for Phoebe because he doesn't follow up on that anymore.
Oh. I got a question about Phoebe realizing the succubus is attracted to Prue. Does that mean Phoebe is also attracted to Prue?
Sure.
Because their connection?
Yeah.
Like she's like, oh, my sister's so hot.
She's so hot right now.
I need to get some iced teats. Ah. And then Smith's like, what? Are you attracted to your sister without a permit? Come here. No incest without my say-so. So they go to Daryl with like the weirdest excuse why they need to release Prue from prison.
Yeah, Manny saved someone today. That's the only reason there wasn't a death today. So you need to let him go.
If they thought that was true, wouldn't they keep Manny for questioning? Because then he would know who the killer was.
Yeah.
Or wouldn't they think Manny was connected to this? Like, oh, so we have him in prison and no one died, so he's the killer, right?
Yeah, it's a weird, vague reason to let him go. And they have, what's his name that Phoebe's attracted to. For some reason, they're holding him, and he's like, should we let him go too? And they're like, no, he's still in danger, so keep him.
What? You can't just imprison someone because you think they might be... You can't do that.
Yeah, they could only... I don't even know why they're holding him at all.
You'd send him home with like a police escort or something. If you thought he was in active danger, you can't just hold him in prison.
I don't know why they had him at all, though. It's like he got punched, so you're coming down.
I think because he was in the altercation, maybe they thought there was some fight. Yeah, I guess if you just get punched in the face, and many witnesses say you were just standing there and got punched in the face.
Including the police, I think they both saw it.
Yeah, that's true. You couldn't have more of an alibi for not having anything to do with this.
Yeah.
This is when the show like really ramps up the sexism. So Prue comes waltzing in her Frankenstein shoes, wearing a tool belt. Suddenly she knows all of this stuff about like handyman stuff, like she's fixing things around the house, like instinctually she knows how to fix things now.
She's like, I know one thing about men, they're tools.
She's like, oh, how did we ever get anything done around here?
How do you get anything done around? Because you need a stupid man?
That's what Leo's for later. That's why he comes in as their handyman.
How do we do anything without man?
Luckily, I'm here now, ladies. I'm gonna stay being a man so I can fix the house.
Mania's running wild, brother. What if they had done her up like Hogan? Like they gave her.
Why would they?
They gave her a bald cap and yellow Fu Manchu.
As a man, she has male pattern baldness.
I just want that to be the man version of her.
She is a real American.
She is a real man.
She's Hogan, baby, Hogan. Hogan power.
She's a Hogan, baby.
We've been hanging and banging, brother.
Stupid.
I can't believe this got stupid talking about this serious episode.
Well, all this is going on where she's with her tools and like, fixing things. Phoebe's over there eating pickles suggestively. She's got like dill pickles. She's eating.
She's like, believe me, someone on IMDb is really going to appreciate this years later.
So Prue, she talks about the fact that her dating tape set a new record at this place. So she's like, what if I go to P3 and I just meet all these women and I try to like narrow down the suspects? Even though she never does this. She just goes to P3, but we never see any of the dates.
No, she talks to Alan from work though.
Yeah, yeah.
And she's like, you know what the problem is? Men and women just don't know what each other want. Oh!
Men are from Mars, women are from penis.
Yeah. Alan's like, yeah, some women want one thing and other women want another thing. How do I figure it out?
Oh my god! Yeah, that happens when they go there, but Piper doesn't initially want them to go there because the Cranberries are coming.
She's like,
can't fuck it up when the Cranberries are coming. This is also when Prue says the line like, well, when I hit him, I felt powerful and strong. Like, that made me a man.
Mm-hmm.
Terrible. All of it terrible. And they see that Piper's, like, still looking out the window, checking out her handsome neighbor Dan. And when she leaves, Phoebe and Prue go to see what she's looking at. And while Phoebe's checking out neighbor Dan's ass, Prue is looking at the truck. She's like, oh, nice truck. And Phoebe's like, I think you really are becoming a man. And she says that line like the worst way she could have said it. Like it was a terrible line delivery.
Mm-hmm.
Do you mind? You're acting like such a man. Cat crumpling up paper in the background.
The best part.
Yeah.
Ash ruins the podcast again.
Ash, you podcast ruiner. She's looking at me like, what? Didn't do anything. So they go to P3, and there's a guy with an amazing shiny shirt in there. Mm-hmm. Like one of those like shiny silver shirts that were really prevalent around like late 90s, early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
And Prue shows up in like a leisure suit, like, like one of those big collared suits.
Yeah.
That's when she meets with Alan and they talk about dates and she's like, oh yeah, I work with that Prue. And he's like, oh yeah, you know Prue? Yeah, what do you think about her? And he's like, oh, I just, I don't really know what she wants, but like, she's really cool. I think she's super cool. Mm. Oh, he thinks I'm cool.
Mm.
Maybe men and women aren't so different after all.
Maybe.
Are you done? The succubus follows Prue into an alley. I don't remember why she goes into an alley, but she does.
Hmm.
And it's the lady from the dating agency. It's the one that thought she had man problems.
Yeah.
She seduces Prue, and she finds her irresistible. She's in a trance. Piper and Phoebe show up just in time.
They think it's the one from the one running the dating thing first, but
no, there's another one. There's two of them. There's a redhead who's doing the tapes, and then there's a blonde lady from the dating agency.
Oh, okay. And remember the blonde one was a part of it too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she was the one that was by the tapes that was like, well, you got to join the club to get the tapes. And she recognizes Prue's got man troubles at the beginning. So she's seducing Prue, and Piper and Phoebe show up just in time to freeze her, and then call Prue impotent because she couldn't use her powers.
Dudes don't like that word.
She unfreezes, and she's gonna get them. So Agent Smith and Morris show up. Smith gets thrown into a bunch of boxes, and Daryl shoots the shit out of her.
Yeah. Just shoots her dead, and then you see her bleeding out.
It's hilarious.
It's kind of funny, too. Like, apparently the Charmed ones were going to do nothing. She was just walking away and like, what do we do? I don't know.
At the coroner's office, Smith is talking to the coroner about the body of the succubus having elevated levels of testosterone. And the coroner's like, oh, it's a shame because she's a real babe.
Yeah.
Fuck off. Asshole.
And then, like, once the coroner leaves the room, he's like, I'm gonna check out the dead body. And then, surprise, she's not dead, and she kills him.
What was he gonna do? Was he gonna fuck the body? What was he? Why
I don't know. I don't know if he's just gonna look at her or feel up the corpse or full on corpse fucker. Who knows?
I'm glad he's dead.
Yeah.
You know the thing too that like it's frustrating about the whole like the coroner like, oh, she's got all this testosterone, shame because she's a real babe. That happens. Like, there are women that have elevated testosterone levels, or people that are like gender fluid,
I think he was saying that about her being
intersex.
a murderer or whatever, like this killer. I think's what he said was, oh, it's a shame.
Was it not about the testosterone? I thought that's what he was getting at.
No, I think it's just about like, oh, it's a shame she was this murdering person. She's such a bitch. So, I think that's
only ugly people can be murderers.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll give the show the benefit of the doubt. That's what I thought he was alluding to, but that might be what was going on.
Yeah, I think it's just about that.
Smith is dead. Good job by everyone.
Yeah. And then they don't know how to explain that, so they never come back to the Daryl storyline.
No, they never do. Poor Daryl. Screwed him again.
Yeah.
And they knew that she wasn't really dead because they read in the Book of Shadows that she was supposed to like burst into flames, like be incinerated.
Right.
So they must have known that that wasn't really it, because they were wondering about it, and Prue was still a guy. So they really should have been on the ball with this one.
Yeah, instead
not
they
that
act
Smith
like,
didn't deserve it, but but look, it's really important that we get back to Piper looking out the window again.
This is like pathetic.
This, you think like neighbor Dan has his own like rear window situation going on. He keeps looking out and like there's a killer, but nobody believes him that this like evil neighbor lady is like constantly watching him and killing people. I'm telling you it happened.
You talk about Piper being one track later. I think she's pretty one track in this episode.
That's true. You're right. She's just focusing on this now. Gosh, she's the worst. Prue takes this opportunity to say, you know, men are just as afraid of rejection as women. She learned that as a man. Everyone's afraid of rejection. She's had a real epiphany there. She goes to take a leak, and the other two are like,
don't forget to put the seat down.
Laugh track. Woo! And that's freeze frame, and then the show ends.
And then Tim Allen shows up and goes, Cat, will you come here, please? You're meowing so much. Come here. You don't have to edit this out, Peter. I want people to know my cat's being real shitty.
I just want to get through this.
I just want to get through it. Come here. You're going to keep meowing if you don't come here. Come here. I'll put you in my lap.
Want everyone to know my cat's being shitty.
I want people to know it's not my fault. All right, she's in my lap. We can continue with the... I just want to get this done! All right. Hopefully after Prue took a leak, I'm not sure, the succubus comes and kidnaps her. That or she's like, you know, they're flying out the window and then she takes a leak over the town or something. Yeah.
And like it sprinkles over Dan as they fly across him. He's like,
come on!
Magical!
Oh, the magic golden shower.
He's spinning in the road.
It's like the end of Edward Scissorhands or the middle of it where the snowflakes from the ice sculpture, but he's just twirling around.
And then you see Piper's smile in the window turn to a frown. And she pulls out a shotgun.
Good.
Just bleeding out in the street. Daryl pulls
Jenny walks over.
Like, I don't want to
know. Jenny walks over, sees him bleeding out, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I know all about bleeding from weird places. Hang on, Phoebe, can you talk to me about my period?" The one significant thing she ever did. All right, so there's a hilarious shot of Prue on the bed covered in satin sheets. Then the succubus like getting ready to have sexy times with her. She's just laid out on the bed, sinking into it with her tiny head, her padding above her chin.
Yeah, and like Phoebe and Piper at the house, like knowing this is going on through Phoebe's visions. Like, Piper, again, seems very, very, like, not concerned about this. And Phoebe's like, you know, I'm gonna watch Prue die. She's like, We'll probably solve it.
Where is Leo in all this? He's supposed to be their white lighter. He's supposed to protect them.
He's punching someone.
I don't remember at this point what he's doing because, like, at the end of season... Yes. Because I think at the end of season 1, he either gave up his powers or something happened, like, the first time he turns human, so I'm not sure at what point he's at. He's not in this episode at all.
Yeah.
Was he just a guest star at this point? I don't think he was even in the credits.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah. I don't know. Either way, the elders should have, like, sent a white lighter to help them out in this situation. It's their job to protect witches. But yeah, they're going to reverse the psychic connection so that Phoebe can talk through the succubus and get through to Prue from her trance.
How do they do
hopefully
this exactly?
They just reverse the connection. If she's feeling what the succubus is feeling, she'll go reverse it somehow so that she can talk through her. And so if they can remind Prue that she's a woman and she's not a man being seduced by the succubus, she can use her powers and get out.
So they just reverse the polarity of the neutron flow and that does it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Magic.
Mm-hmm.
Prue, she gets through to her, and Prue rejects the succubus.
I gotta say, before we get to that, like, the music in the scene, like, hurts it so bad. There's no tension to it. And Piper's...
I didn't notice the music.
It's just kind of very ho-hum. It doesn't make it feel like anything tense is happening, even though, like, Prue's supposedly really close to dying here.
Yeah, this whole episode, I feel like they didn't have the proper tension they should have had.
No.
Maybe because it was a comedy episode and they weren't really sure tonally where to go with it.
Yes. I mean, it would have helped, though, to, like, balance it out a bit, but, like, have is Phoebe doing this thing taken a little more seriously at first and make it feel like Prue's in danger.
Even if you're doing a comedy episode, you still have to have the characters be true to their world, and if they think that this is a serious situation, it's, even though it might be funny for the audience, it still should be serious to them, and there should be proper tones for scenes where it's supposed to be scary or frightening or...
Yeah. I feel like
whatever.
Alyssa Milano tried in some of these scenes, like she says, like, "Oh, I'm gonna see Prue die," but then
Piper just keeps dismissing her.
Yeah. Like, it doesn't.
It really
help.
undercuts so much tension.
Exactly. It's weird because, you know, she's so bad later with her just smug Phoebe-ness, but here she's trying more, and then it's kind of like dead off.
Yeah, it really kind of like, why is the audience caring if one of our main characters is just like, whatever, and then they go along with it.
Mm-hmm.
So the succubus is pretty pissed at getting rejected, like,
Excuse me, I'm the cute succubus. No one rejects me.
I do, bitch.
I feel like a real man.
Yeah, punches her into a dresser.
She uses her powers.
Right,
I think she just throws her with her powers, but it would have been funnier if she punched her.
Yeah, magic punch, I guess.
Yeah, psychic punch. She falls into a dresser and a couple candles set her on fire.
Yeah,
and she
and this is
incinerates.
The foretold flame. Yeah, immediately.
Hilarious.
Why did the succubus have candles put up if these are so deadly to her? Seems like a remarkably stupid thing to have done.
She's extremely flammable.
But I mean, the succubus is just a witch, right? She goes up
like tinder, just...
Like we said, the succubus is a witch, right? So she's just a person. Is because she's a succubus, that's what she uses her powers for? It makes her super flammable, like flash paper?
There's got to be a price to all this power. You know what it is? It's the elevated testosterone. The more you have, the more flammable you are. So she's dead. Prue's a woman again. They go to P3, and Prue literally says, "Men and women are different, but we're similar in many ways." Here's what the episode was about, people.
What I learned from being a man is I want nothing to do with them anymore. I'm gay now.
Here's my new girlfriend, Nico.
Yeah. We'll have a great story for that.
They have a great ending to show, you know, that they all had a great epiphany. She goes on a date with Alan, Phoebe goes on a date with Owen, Piper dances with neighbor Dan. They're all paired off with someone. Sexism is over.
Yeah, it's Phoebe's like just episode boyfriends. Like, yeah, who cares about him?
And now the Cranberries.
Yeah. And then this just plays for a few minutes. You're like, yeah, cool. Episode's over, but we're wasting your time.
Yep. The end. Phelan, what'd you think of the episode?
A stunning piece of television history.
Should be put in the Smithsonian. Where would you rank this in Charmed? Like, as far as entertainment, not craftsmanship.
It's remarkably entertaining, I'll say. It's weird because it's weird to call it good, but it is good in some ways compared to later Charmed, because even though there's large issues with them, like mostly Piper not caring, you see Phoebe caring about things, you see Prue trying to do things, and like later Charmed just them not trying and whining about having to do anything. This is so much nicer than that.
It's a bad episode of a better show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but I mean, all the man stuff is quite silly.
Did you feel insulted at any point? the men
I don't know if
stuff?
I'd say insulted. Just like, this is silly. That would be like, yeah, I felt like a real man when I punched someone. Like, and I don't know why are we saying that? Are we just saying they love punching people?
That's what men do, Fayliss. Don't you know how to use tools, and you always want to punch people?
Yeah, just cooked into your gender.
Yeah. Do you think they got anything right? Was there anything they understood about men?
Yeah, for sure. That all men have super puffy clothes and small heads.
The Michelin Man comparison is pretty good. The Stay Puft Marshmallow Prue.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is one of their most entertainingly bad episodes, but it is in a better show. It's not frustrating bad. It's just early or late 90s silliness, so it's enjoyable, but it's definitely it's sexist. It's very sexist.
Yeah, it's pretty dumb, and it's pretty bad that they just have Piper fawning out a window for a lot of the episode too.
Oh yeah.
That's pretty sexist too.
It's also sexist toward women. It absolutely is, because they're trying to be women be pining out of windows for their neighbors and ooh, they just want men with respect. Mm-hmm. I mean, it skews more towards sexist toward men in this one, but it feels insulting to both men and women.
Piper's so inconsistent too about what she thinks of Dan, I guess, because when he comes over for the ice, she doesn't seem that interested, even though she's been fawning out the window for him.
She don't know what she wants. That's that wacky love,
Oh, yeah.
Does she love him? Does she love Leo? Who knows? But he sure looks good when he's washing his truck.
You know what? He didn't actually have any soap and water. It's all hair grease. He was, you know what? Unfair to Leo, because if he was washing his truck, she'd be like,
quit waxing nostalgic over there. Stupid trucks.
Yeah.
I thought you would find it sexy, like with neighbor Dan.
I don't find you sexy. What made you think that?
Acid!
Anyway, I think we've said all we can say about
She's a man, baby, a man.
Truly one of Charm's most dated episodes.
Yeah.
Wrap this up. If you guys enjoyed this podcast, I'd appreciate it if you liked, subscribed, or reviewed on whatever platform you're listening to this on. If you are watching this on YouTube, you can find us in audio form at anchor.fm under Charmed Hard with a Vengeance or Charmed Rewind. YouTube, it's youtube.com/movie nights the series. If you want to check out Phelan stuff, it's at youtube.com/Fayliss. If you would like to participate in polls or support our stuff, you can find me at patreon.com/movie nights or Phelan at patreon.com/Fayliss. Thanks to Peter Hunter for doing the editing for us and leaving my dumb cat in here because I just want to get through it. You can find him at Pretor Hunter on Twitter. What hashtags, Phelan?
Hashtag Prue Mania.
Hashtag Stay Puft Marshmallow Prue.
Yeah. Hashtag Flash Paper Succubus.
That's good. We'll see you Charmanders next time.